Hello, my name is David Ades. I'm a certified professional life coach, specializing in the recovery from narcissistic abuse. Today I'm talking about reducing in size and stature, the narcissist that lives on within one's brain and one's body after having dealt with a narcissist. The difficulty in recovering from narcissistic abuse is the narcissist still tortures one from within oneself. That's part of the goal of the narcissist, is to replicate themselves into you. So recovering from narcissistic abuse simply means the predator has been successful. A narcissist is like some type of predator, like a snake or a spider, that has been adapted over time. They've evolved to infect people in precisely the way that you've been infected. And I want to emphasize that a little bit, that kind of metaphorical way of understanding a narcissist, to say that one must not get caught up believing that being infected by the narcissist is a reflection upon them, when it's really a reflection on the successful evolution of this predator. That's not to say it's any better than the first. It's not more pleasant, I mean, but it is less close to home. The narcissist is a predator, like a spider, whose job it is to spin a web and catch flies, other human beings, and then suck the life out of them. A fly can't get caught up. If it's trying to escape the web, it's wasted energy for the fly to say like, oh, what does it say about me that I got caught in the web? And what does it say about me that, oh, I shouldn't have, and I wish I didn't? There might be some things to hold yourself accountable for, some things that you can remedy in your relationship with yourself. Right? For example, the main reason people end up in relationships with narcissists is that they ignore red flags. So you might be able to say, oh, well, I saw the red flags, but I ignored them. And you can not do that from now on. You can take account of that, take ownership. You can take ownership of that time that you should have listened to yourself and you didn't, and that time that you knew what they were doing, but you gave them the benefit of the doubt because you didn't have the courage to, or whatever. You can account for some parts of this. But you can't kind of apologize for existing. The spider is meant to spin a web. Flies land in the web. The fly, this is the story. So it goes. There is predator and prey. There's nothing wrong here. Again, not that that makes it pleasant, not that that clears things up, but hopefully it helps discern or encourages discernment in what can I realistically take account of? For example, I didn't look at the red flags or XYZ, and what can I not take account for? Like the fact that spiders are good at what they do, that narcissists are good at what they do. I can't account for that. I can't account for how spider webs exist, and then I get caught in one. What am I going to do? Live my life like, oh, is there a spider web over here? Is there a spider web over there? Better not get caught in one. Which brings me to kind of the point of this video, which is, imagine a fly gets caught in a spider's web, is so traumatized by the encounter, and this is an analogy for getting caught in a narcissist's web and being so traumatized by that encounter, that the fly escapes this, survives the narcissistic abuse, but then lives their life like, okay, maybe I'll just never fly anymore. Because if I don't fly, I can't get caught in a spider's web, right? Which is, of course, true and untrue, but it's missing the point that a fly is denying its entire existence in this attempt to protect itself from something that it may not have been able to protect itself in the first place. A fly protecting itself from a spider's web is like a rabbit protecting itself from a lion. It's like, yes, but predator and prey. This is how the story goes. Alongside the points I'm gleaning from this analogy are the fact that a narcissist is an amoral predator, not like a fully human being in any way that we would mean that, like the fully human. A narcissist is not fully human in the way that you and I mean that. They're an amoral predator, like a spider, like a lion, such that there's no making good with the lion, with the spider. They're just a predator that exists. And that's the end of the story. There's no like, oh, do I forgive the lion for being a lion? Do I forgive the spider for making their web? You don't have to. Because spiders don't need you to forgive them. Lions don't need your forgiveness. And the other side of that is you don't have to be forgiving to a spider or a narcissist or a lion. So the question becomes, what do you have to be? Because the answer is also, and I've made this point in my video, You Can't Forgive a Narcissist, this is why, you don't demonize them either. You don't say, oh, that frickin' spider for spinning its web. How dare it? Why doesn't it know? Why doesn't it have a moral compass? Why did that lion chase after that rabbit? Why doesn't it have a moral? That's exactly what, I hate the narcissist and they're the worst and they're a demon. That's what that is. You're taking this amoral blob that's built to prey on things, and you're giving it the benefit of the doubt that it has a moral compass, that it could have a moral compass, while at the same time, the most popularly known thing about a narcissist is that they lack empathy. Like a spider, like a lion, they don't empathize with their prey. So this video is meant to encourage you in the way of, it's time for reverse Uno card. Okay, I am nothing to you, you are nothing to me. Much easier said than done. Grieving the relationship with the narcissist, grieving the effects of their venom, grieving what you knew about humanity, grieving what you hoped about them and life and fate, and the list is endless. Easier said than done, which is why I'm doing the work that I do, because it can be so harrowing and overwhelming and heavy and grief, how do you say? Abundant with grief, anyway. To the kind of point of this video, reducing the narcissist in size and stature, coming to see the narcissist as an amoral predator, is an aggressive act. In the same way that you were nothing to them, and that's a kind of predatory aggressive act, so too making them nothing to you is an aggressive act. It takes aggression on the side of the survivor of narcissistic abuse to reduce the narcissist in size and stature. What this really looks like, the practical nature of it, is emotions have to be de-invested, uninvested from the narcissist, and the relationship you thought you had, and the person you hoped they were, and the person you could have been. Emotions have to be uninvested because it is emotional investment that keeps the narcissist alive in your brain and body. It's a type of investment, emotional being a kind of subsection of a more psychological term, libidinal investment. Libido in psychoanalysis is the energy of your psyche. It kind of includes emotions, it's a little more broad and encompassing than that, but anyway, you've got to get the energy that was once, or still is, or has been invested in the narcissist and the relationship and the hopes and the expectations and the wishes and the lost needs and the blah blah blah. You've got to get that out of them. That is how the size of anybody and the stature of anybody is reduced. The reason that your friend appears meaningful and real and three-dimensional and, they take up space in your psychic economy, the economy of your psyche, and yet they don't in mine, is because a difference of emotional investment. If you needed to, this is going to sound strange, but bear with me as I weave the points back together in this strange sounding way. If you needed to reduce the amount of space that a friend took up in your mind or body, you'd have to take the emotional investment back. Unemotionally investing is easier said than done. It's mostly about reinvesting. Think about the economy of your psyche. Think about it this way. It's an economy with just a certain amount of currency fluctuating at any moment in time. And unlike capitalist economies of today, you can't just print more money. In order to invest more money, inner resources, psychic resources, in order to invest them in something new, you need to take them away from something that they're caught up in. To the extent that the narcissist kind of tortures you from within your own space, that's the extent to which your money is caught up in that investment. How do you get that money to go somewhere else? Well, you go to invest in other things. And as you show up to make the investment, the energy that is currently caught up in one area of your life is called upon to mobilize to another area. Okay, I'm going to try to make things a little bit more practical. Maybe I'll just jump into the exercise that I planned on sharing at the end of this video. You write down 5 positive emotional investment feeling things that you might still feel for the narcissist. Like, oh, well, I feel sorry for them, and I feel, these compassion-oriented things, positive. Love-oriented, well, I love them, and I still miss them sometimes, and I know that they're just a broken child deep down, and whatever it is. List 5, could be they did 5 good things for you, they played 5 different roles for you, I don't know. 5 positive things where your emotional money is currently caught up in. And write 5 aggressive, negative things, like I hate them for this, and they destroyed me here, and I'll never be good at this again, and I'll never know how. This is where your money is caught up. So you write down ways in which, and it's important that it's these two, because we emotionally invest with kind of love, positive stuff, and we emotionally invest with aggression, hatred, that type of thing. And what you want to do through this exercise, what you're doing is taking account of what kind of investments are still caught up. How many positive investments are still caught up? How many negative investments are still caught up? You need both of them. You need both your aggressive drives and your love drives. You need that energy back to invest in new people, to invest in yourself, to invest in projects and ideas and your own voice and your own heart and your needs and your likes and people who are real as opposed to a narcissist and people who care as opposed to a narcissist and things that take courage and things that take some assertion and things that take some love. You need that. So you write down these 5 and these 5, and then you do a little coaching work with yourself based on what they are. Go through the list and say, okay, well, based on what this emotional investment is, what might I have to go do in order to call upon the resources that are currently caught up in here? So, for example, I feel bad for the narcissist because they're a wounded child. What could I do in order to reclaim that amount of compassion? And I hesitate to say the word pity because it sounds negative, but I don't mean it that way. I don't mean it in a negative way. What can I do to ask that pity and compassion, that energy, to go somewhere productive? Because it's all lost in a narcissist. That's the point maybe I wanted to make before I got to the exercise, but I can make it now, is all of this is completely lost on a narcissist. Your hatred falls upon deaf ears. Your demonization, your blame, the forgiveness, the empathy, the understanding falls on deaf ears. There's no one home for your emotional investment to fall with. I don't care how much you try to demonize the narcissist, how much you try to forgive them. It doesn't matter. There's nothing there. You try to forgive a spider. There's nothing there to be forgiven. It doesn't need to. This is supposed to be a liberating thing, not like a narcissist isn't a real person. That's why you can't forgive them. It's like you wouldn't demonize a spider for being a spider. You wouldn't demonize a lion for being a lion. So it's like, let's see them the same way. A lion isn't less worthy of existence because they're a predator. A spider isn't less worthy. That conversation doesn't even happen, is the entire point. They're not more worthy for being predators. A narcissist isn't more worthy or less worthy because they're a predator. They're just a predator. You stay away from them, you steer clear from them, but you don't get your psychic energy invested in them because not only is there nothing there, but they're the type of predator that's coming for you if your stuff is caught up, if your stuff gets caught up with them. So, what might I have to do to get this compassion and pity kind of back in my own hands? Well, I might volunteer, or I might ask somebody else about something they're dealing with that I can feel compassion for, or I need to call upon my compassion for. Okay, what about something negative? Well, I hate the narcissist because I feel like I can never speak my truth again. Okay, well, what can I do in my daily or weekly life to call upon the energy of speaking my truth such that the money, the resources of my psyche need to be mobilized to meet me where I'm going? And that's kind of the crux of the whole thing. The narcissist doesn't stop the economy, stop you from living. You need to keep going, and you're going to need your internal resources in the projects of expansion. Economic expansion. So you write a list of how your positive emotional investments are caught up, how negative emotional investments are caught up, and you ask yourself, it's a little coaching exercise. You don't have to force yourself to do anything. You don't have to keep yourself super accountable for whatever. It's even if you could just theorize, if you could just do this exercise in theory on paper, that might constitute some sort of success. And if you can just pretend like you are going to do maybe some of the ideas that you came up with, you will be calling upon your psyche to mobilize this maybe currently invested energy, currently held up energy, and that might bring feelings up and material up for you to reflect on and integrate without actually having to do anything. And I know that sounds funny, but that's a kind of It is a bit of a high-level psychological insight that it isn't even about taking the action, so to speak. Go like you're gonna take the action and see what comes up. And that's what we're here for. Not just changing your life and you're gonna be doing different things, but moving in that direction and seeing what responds so that you could process that stuff. So then you can be free to do it or free to not do it. And in any case, your investments aren't so caught up so that you feel like you have to do this and you can't do that. Trying to break free from the influence of the narcissist, which is all about you can do XYZ, but you can't do XYZ, or maybe ABC, because I don't want to contradict myself. So, I want to reemphasize that this is an aggressive act, reducing the size of the narcissist, saying, hey, psychic economy, you're coming with me. It's an aggressive act to take a step forward. You need to assert your foot. You need to plant your foot. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this exercise, or I'm going to act like I'm moving towards this big thing that kind of scares me. Then I'm going to stop along the way and process, and I'm going to be with myself. It's like an aggressive thing. Being. It's you. It's your voice. It's your needs. There is some aggression inherent in taking up space. And the narcissist strips all of the drives that would help you take up space, strips all of them away. They are the only space that you can take up. And so, you might find the ways in which the narcissist continues taking up space in your brain and your body through this, exercise of where your emotional investments are. It's really saying, where is the narcissist still taking up space? And then how might you get them out of that space by putting something else in that space, or taking that space somewhere else? The story doesn't end here. It's not that you clear up the narcissist and then you're just good to go. You need to move forward. Reinvest your emotional energy. If you want to work with me personally, click the first link in the description to schedule a free discovery call. Click the second link to take a free narcissistic abuse recovery quiz. I don't know the name of my own stuff. I was going to say narcissistic recovery quiz. Narcissistic abuse recovery quiz. Visit my website, Coach David Ades, to read about my coaching, although you might get the gist of it from this video. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see more. Like this video if you do. If you have any questions or thoughts, leave them in the comments, and I will talk to you soon.